Okay, so it's left to us to kind of summarize what we've spoken about today and kind of plan the actions for IMI. So what can we do in this area in the next year or next 3 years? So I think you'll all agree that we've had a very stimulating day. We've had a lot of different discussions, a lot of different viewpoints that all have been valuable. I've made an attempt to kind of summarize what the highlights were. I think the start of the day we had obviously Anthony introduced the kind of the growth, the massive growth in the field and the huge potential, and the challenge for IMI then is how to pick out what is appropriate for us to kind of take forward in that area. One theme which seems to have come out quite a few times is that the technology is moving so fast that everything else seems to be playing catch up. And some of these other parts of the healthcare system seem to be very, very far behind. And I mean, IMI is in a position to perhaps start thinking about facilitating discussions in that direction, where we can get several actors together to see how we can perhaps accelerate the rest of the system somewhat, so that we can really harness the potential of all this technology. And I think something that has come out, especially on this last session from what Hilary said, is that when we're thinking of technology, we have to really think about the end users, the physicians, or especially the patients and caregivers. So the potential benefit to them is obviously very, very clear, I think. On a more practical basis, I think during the session before lunch, we had people talking about the value chains, and there's a lot of technology already kind of ready to go, but the pathway to put it all together and where it should actually go is not very clear. And maybe thinking about how we can clearer define pathways, and maybe an example, maybe to pick a specific disease initially and see how we can go with that, to allow people to plan ahead for the coming few years, I think. So something along the alignment of these, the phrase was the alignment of value chains. I think that's something to think about. It was also very clear that there's a lot of small, medium-sized, big actors in this field from the technology side. But some of these people don't really know how to enter an IMI project. They don't perhaps see what the benefit to them is. Maybe by aligning these value chains, we can hopefully explain some of that. But I think we as an organization have to go a little bit further than that. So we have to perhaps think about topics where these type of people can really develop their technology and bring it further and bring it a step forward. And alongside that, I think we have our more traditional topics where there perhaps is space for these type of organizations already, but perhaps we have to help them identify where they could act. So I think that's something for us as an office to take home. The other thing was we can always collaborate with other areas as well. So we had the presentation from Excel, where they're coming from a different viewpoint to tackle some of the problems that we face in healthcare. And I think some of the actors they have in their projects are the type of people, the type of organizations who we would like to get on board IMI projects. An initial first step may be finding out how we can collaborate directly with Excel, who they're on the floor below us in the office, so this should be something we can take on board pretty quickly. How can we perhaps have shared projects, or projects that are separate projects but they communicate with each other, in order to take full advantage of not just our particular area, but full advantage of the whole potential of this. And I think a lot of what we've heard is to do with data and access to data, and the difficulty of different types of data, putting it all together. Real world data is messy, it's incomplete, the quality is not certain. So there's a lot of work to be done on just standardizing data, putting data together, make it accessible to people. And I think Nab earlier on, I don't know if he's still here, but he talked about what he said, he called it citizen science, which he thinks the next generation will do. They will play around with the data and come up with their own innovations. And I think our responsibility there is perhaps to provide them with the quality data they will need to do this. And maybe we could also perhaps get a few use cases to showcase what the data can do, but then we just, I imagine we leave it there and other people can take that on board themselves. So I think the element of data, trust in data is a huge thing, and I think IMI is very well positioned to kind of act on this. Indeed, we already have several projects kind of piloting some of this type of data standardization, but I think perhaps we could be a bit more ambitious in this area. And with that in mind, I'll hand over to Anthony, who is the person who is charged with taking this and moving it into topics.
Thank you. Can I echo Colm's sentiments? Thank you everyone for your engagement today. You're a shy bunch. I haven't actually had lunch because everyone waited till lunchtime to start talking about ideas, but the ideas were fantastic. There's lots of people with different building blocks, devices, AI systems, data management tools, things that form part of this ecosystem. I'm with Colm sitting here at the front trying to listen, also trying to sort of put together some sort of construct as to how we stitch these things together, but I haven't yet completed that. So we will, but there have been some fantastic ideas, everything from engaging SMEs at a much different level. I really welcome the openness of the regulators and the HTA, people who sometimes see pharmaceutical companies as adversaries, and really what we're all trying to do is solve the same problem as effectively and bring benefit to patients together. And in areas like digital health, we all have to learn together. I think colleagues from WebRadar, which brings pharma, regulators, academics and patient groups together, have all learnt that together we can go further. And that conversation, I think, is something that we need to continue and really hopefully work with the IMI to try and formalise the regulators and the HTA engagement in these projects so that we do all move together. My very first IMI project meeting I went to, patient representatives from Asthma UK came and spoke to me, well, came and spoke to us all. And it reinforced why I wanted to work in this industry and why I wanted to work. And I think I thank Hilary especially for providing that perspective of the patient and reinforcing that. It's always humbling when technologists who worry about iPhones and Wi-Fi get to really sort of connect and listen to people who we hope one day to help and really understand what we should be trying to do and where we should be focusing our attention. So I thank you again. As for topics, I think the one concrete action is that we have to certainly the big data, the distributed data network part of the big data program. I think we have to redouble our efforts to move that forward. I think that really can have critical impact in the short term and the long term across Europe, and it really does start joining the dots up against all the different collections of data across Europe. I think that's one very complicated thing. I think we should, again, revisit the ideas about, in this space, in this digital health space, seeing IMI not as just a vehicle for running individual research projects, but a way of being a platform to stimulate digital health innovation and help companies with smart ideas come forward and actually use the experience of the pharmaceutical partners as in a way that's different, as a way that actually can help technologies come forward, as opposed to being the owners of technology, health technology ourselves. Hang on, I've got a few more notes here. I think Excel, the Excel group fills a huge gap in terms of structuring some of the technical developments that IMI is not mandated to fund. Whereas we can provide a gap to them and actually bring the research problems and healthcare applications that they desperately need. So there's a natural complementary there, and I look forward to trying to find a way of working with those groups together. And I'm going to close and saying, echoing Hilary's comment about data reuse, we're committed to FAIR, the findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable principles of data. By making data fair and making the data we generate as IMI fair, I think that's the only way that we will continue to deliver long-term sustainable impact. And at the end of the day, this is about tools for generating data, and we must look at the sustainability and use of that data. So I think we're on the right track. I think there's obviously new things that we can do and exciting things we can do as a result of today. And we'll have to take those back and construct some useful way of doing it, of which I will report on later.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. So I think that's us for today. I just before I finally close, I just let you know that we'll be reassembling in the main ballroom at 4 p.m. for the final plenary session, which will be a feedback from all these breakout groups. So let me close by thanking all our speakers today. We had hopefully you all enjoyed the session, so I thank you all for coming. Thank you for all the contributions from the floor as well. We will action as many points of these as possible, so hopefully a lot of these will become topics, so I expect to get some applications from you as well in the future, and I look forward to maybe working with you then. So thank you again very much.